Mousesports have had a massive return to form in the last few weeks, making a couple of deep runs in tournaments and looking on top of the world in the last little while. And part of that is going to be because of their huge run on Inferno. They're 7-0 on Inferno since the beginning of this run, and there are some clear changes they've made to their Inferno. Now, a couple of things they do in this game are going to be specific to the opponent Astralis, but a lot of this stuff is simply changes they've made. So to begin with, you're going to see a change they've made on Banana. Now, this is a bonus round, so take that with a grain of salt, but you'll see Rops here playing Arch despite playing a triple B, and they send Kerrigan B, the third B player, only to throw utility, and they're planning on leaving Frozen and Chris J with full util here on Banana, except for this nade from Frozen here. They're ready to throw that a little bit later. If you watch it, you'll see that they still do use a lot of utility on Banana, but they don't use quite as much as they used to. And although Chris J gets caught there a little bit lazy swinging out coffins, Frozen's got the molly to delay, and then he's going to throw this really nice smoke down in the middle that he'll be able to play around and delay for a very long time. Rops, being the Arch player, is able to rotate over and lend some support that may not otherwise be possible if he had been playing towards Arch, and somehow Frozen manages to survive for so long that Bemis from Apartments makes his way over, flashes, and gets Rops a kill as well. So Frozen does a fantastic job here that may not have been possible without that saved extra bit of utility. Astralis, even against the bonus round, struggles, and Mousesports will be able to pick up the victory. Rops doing the honors, picking up a few kills for himself. So we can skip a couple rounds ahead, and you're going to see in this game, there's a few gamble plays from Mousesports that do seem to consistently pay off. However, I think they're not exactly gamble plays. I think a lot of what they're doing is specific to their opponent, Astralis here. You're not often going to see Rops do what he does in this round, which is essentially sit in this cubby all round long. And although you will see Mousesports pretty heavy doubling up on Arch very often recently, this is not something you'll see all that often. On the B side, you're going to see, again, they're holding on to their utility quite a bit, especially with Chris J having the op. There's not too much pressure to use it too early. And one of the benefits of Chris J opping is that there's not a lot of pressure for him to throw that smoke down too early in the round, because he's not really worried about losing a straight up gunfight. One of the downfalls is that this front sight smoke becomes a lot more scary, and that will actually draw the rotate from Kerrigan off of that smoke. But because Chris J has that Molotov still in hand, he's able to prevent that rotate until Kerrigan can get over and actually help out, and then he can rotate his way on back, while Rops, again, still sitting in this cubby here long term. From this cubby, you can hear nades thrown in middle, but if they were to smoke off Arch, he'd be a little bit impotent. Over towards the balcony, you've got Bemis playing a normal Rops position, and this is something you'll see somewhat often as well. This is a little bit gambly here, of course. You've got 3 towards B for a moment. You've got 1 in Arch and Bemis up on balcony. If Astralis was to go very quickly up truck, this would go very poorly. However, Bemis is going to be on balcony here. He's actually not going to get any kills. A nice little double flash turns him back around here, and he's going to get killed. But Rops in cubby is going to get a double on Device and Dupree, just lurking up middle a little bit late with no smoke Arch. And I think that's something Mousesports already knew was coming. Now, on top of that, you've got Chris J here, still with the smoke in hand. He's got a nice little smoke lineup he's going to throw that's going to push Magisk out of position and allow Rops to pick himself up a kill here for free on Magisk, not quite in the right spot. So because he was able to hold on to that smoke, Rops was able to pick up that quick kill, which essentially secured the round. Rops will do the honors on the final kill, but really anyone could have done it. Rops with the 4K. So into the very next round, you're going to see a play that Mousesports was a bit hesitant to make even a couple of months ago, which is this double up in towards Apartments that they're really liking to do recently. And, part of it is a response. A lot of teams, especially you'll see it from CIS teams, love this solo man Apartments take. Because playing Apartments isn't that common, going solo into Apartments is often a decent way to take it and can allow you to do things like 4-manning over to Banana. And you're going to see that from Astralis here. You had Zipnik spamming through the wall, and now you're going to have Dupree solo make his way over into Boiler here with 3 players, and then Zipnik's rotating over. going for the banana control, but Rops is there on the other side, gets a nice little kill on Dupree, and because of that control and that information, if Astralis doesn't quickly bust up middle, they're probably not in position to go for any sort of A-side play in the immediate future, and Kerrigan's going to go for a bit of a gamble stack over here towards B. Of course, it is a bit of a gamble, but pays off here as that's exactly where the Astralis is set up, and you'll notice again, a smoke on each player here for Mousesports and a flash on each player as well. So both of the B players are pretty decently utilitied up, and Frozen can throw this flash for Kerrigan to go for a peek. And although nobody was there, certainly a large percentage of the time a person will be there, or he'll be able to get the information at least. Then on the execute, Chris J is able to smoke himself off, make his way through, and he's going to be able to land a fairly nice shot here. That'll give some distraction for Kerrigan to come through. And again, the amount of utility left over for Mousesports here does make a tangible difference in their ability to delay for these rotates to get over, for Kerrigan to come through that smoke, and for Mousesports to end up in a 2v1 that they can fairly easily close out this time around. So into the following round, you will see how this sometimes can backfire for them. However, you'll also see some more aggressive plays that Mousesports are loving to make, this type of flash peek in middle. And if you're not going to be very aggressive on banana, you do have to respond by being aggressive somewhere else. You have to get that information back. Otherwise, you're just going to end up gamble stacking a little bit too often. So here, Rops is going to molly in towards Boiler. Kerrigan with the flash and the double peek out does actually get kind of punished here. Astralis were this time around ready for it, although they often aren't. And that puts Rops down on 38 health. And then you're again going to see the same double up here towards Arch. Again, BMS playing much more aggressive in towards Arch side than you would typically expect. And that nade is going to do ridiculous damage. Then Kerrigan's going to make contact here, and again, they're so ready to double up Arch. BMS is going to make his way over, but this is where it goes wrong. They finally start losing some gunfights. So BMS loses one on Magisk there that he should probably win. Rops loses one lurking into apartments there with a bit of a one-way as well. And off of that, even against pistols, they just get locked out of the bomb site. So the double up in towards Arch, when the player that's a little bit closer to rotate, when the moto player there ends up dying, you end up with Rops on a bit of an island there towards balcony, and once he goes down, the round is over instantly. So into round 8, Mousesports still feeling pretty comfortable with this one. They're going to again go for the double up in apartments. And you've got BMS playing. He's going to go into the cubby just like Rops has a couple of times already. This time around it's Chris J with an op in apartments, playing a little bit more aggressive towards the hall. And it's going to go a little bit wrong here. In fact, Zipnix is just sitting in position, very static, not giving anything up. And he's going to end up punishing both Chris J and Rops. So the first one onto Rops, Chris J waiting for an eternity here, just inches away from Zipnix. He will end up eventually getting a bit antsy and getting himself killed. And that should just about be the round, but in these types of spots, obviously, you have BMS kill 3 through a smoke. What else would happen in this type of situation? Not only does he kill 3, but he gets glaive to 33 health. And with that, they can try and, get pretty aggressive, forcing into the site here as the bomb is planted, making sure Glaive can't reposition after planting, and BMS will pick up the ace. So nothing to see here, guys. Just a standard round on Arch side. Absolutely expected. If you watched Mousesports for a while, you may have noticed that oftentimes it feels like Rops and especially BMS are kind of chained to their spots. You'll see BMS oftentimes go for a play in towards truck side and then very quickly rotate himself back into the site and stay there for a while and not really move or be dynamic out of that position. But that's kind of changed, and you can definitely see that in a round like this. So the nice little nade there will end up with BMS going pretty quickly back in towards the site, which is, something he will obviously do sometimes, especially against pistols. Kerrigan over here towards Arch is going to get flashed off the angle here, but he'll get flashed to re-peek the angle as well quickly enough that I think he's fairly sure that nobody ended up in towards Arch side there. Off of that, very quickly, you'll see Bemis and Rops go for the double re-aggress in towards truck side. Of course, if you're not playing very aggressive on banana, you have to be more aggressive on middle to get that information back. That's exactly what Bemis and Rops are going to do here. And if you want anyone doing it, you probably want these two being the ones doing it. However, Astralis being Astralis, they are already making their way into the B site before this information gets relayed back. On the other hand, Kerrigan, so quick looking for info here, is already starting to rotate over, just so confident in the reads. And look at this from Mousesports. Frozen and Chris J both have full utility sets. Chris is going to toss down a molly. I think Frozen misclicks his molly, but he gets a nade off regardless, and an easy mow down here for Mousesports. So obviously, the individual is showing up there, but you can see an adjustment in the way they're playing as well. So if we head into round number 13, this is just something that I can't possibly imagine isn't planned. So you've got a standard round here from Mousesports. They triple up B early, Rops over towards Arch. Again, does make truck side a little bit weak, and BMS is towards truck, so he definitely could get entry'd against certain plays, but Astralis, very heavy on the banana side, and Rops is just going to stay here all round long. Kerrigan's going to be rotating around quite a bit. I mean, this is a bit of a gamble stack to begin with, but this happens multiple times in this game. And when you look at that, he's going to catch a frag in the back with Astralis not smoking off Arch side. Kill on Glaive, waits a little bit, peek out, kill on a Magisk, and the round gets closed out just like that. I struggle to believe there isn't something going on with that play, but regardless, Rops, crisp on the aim, gets the free kills. I do want to give some credit to Astralis as they obviously try to fight back in this game, and you can see how good their mid-game adjustments often are. Mousesports have been playing incredibly heavy on towards Arch side all game long, and you'll see them here tripling up on banana early. Astralis able to push them off quite easily, and then right back in to a double Arch side again. This time around, a slightly delayed smoke on Arch means they actually could be making their way up middle, and Rops and Kerrigan are going to boost up over it. So they've got this play in mind. Rops is not going to spot anyone out. It's actually going to be Kerrigan that picks up this kill on Dupree a little bit later, and they're going to be able to get away with a free kill, but finally, they will actually molly Rops out of this position that he's played in 4 or 5 times this game. So the smoke's coming in towards Arch. Rops gets mollied out of this spot from behind it as well, and they can hear him backing off, and they know exactly what went on there as well. Then you're going to see typical Astralis fashion. They put a little bit of pressure on Arch. They rotate back, and that's actually going to allow Rops. He's going to spot this out, and he's going to call for all the rotates, but Astralis are coming back to A. The typical Astralis go to the bomb site with almost no players there. However, a slight misstep. Glaive makes a step there, and that gives BMS the ability to turn back around. Kerrigan stops rotating off, and obviously Mousesports are on point here individually, as BMS and Kerrigan are going to combine for 3 and close the round out. So, not to take anything away from Astralis, they definitely adjusted in the middle of this game, and they did so quite well. Unfortunately, Mousesports still come out on top. Along with being very active in middle on their CT side, Mousesports are starting to be one of the faster teams in middle on their T side as well. They're very active in middle when they go there, and oftentimes they run, straight up ult with multiple players to pressure in middle. Here you can see they go for a standard banana control, and they're going to try and draw that rotate from device over to the B side, and then they're going to make their way back up for mid control with 5 players very early. Usually you see this a little bit later on in the round if they've already gone for banana control, but by 120 you've already got Mousesports with full mid control, as well as having pushed Astralis back off banana. Astralis, good enough to go and retake that banana control, but Mousesports are going to try and create chaos with these rotating players. This is something you see Kerrigan talk about, trying to play puggy against Astralis, because you're not going to out-strategy Astralis. And when you've got players like BMS and players like Rops going off individually, this is exactly what's going to work out for you. You've got that kill coming out from BMS, Frozen on the trades, and you've just got chaos around the map that ends up with the Mousesports into the 3v2 that they should be able to close out fairly effectively for themselves. Once they get into this advantage, that's when they know they can close things down a little bit. and they can pick up these kills to take down Magisk. And Zipnik's left in the 1v3 isn't going to be able to fare any better. He almost finds a bit of a gap there, but flanking around is Rops, who I believe is able to find and close out the game. So, Mousesports, this is a pretty decent example of some changes they've made, what it looks like now, and just how good they are on Inferno. Whether or not that can be dealt with and, they're going to go back down, we're yet to find out.